Hi, Chris McClune here with Fire Apparatus and Emergency Equipment. Welcome to this episode of our podcast. This one is inside the Safe Fleet Training Program. With me, as he has been many times for a variety of podcasts, is Jason Whitmire. He is the Director of Education and Technology for Safe Fleet. Jason, thank you for sitting down with me today. So I think when I think of the Safe Fleet Training Platform, I think of it as a collection of I guess components. A lot of people are familiar with some of them, but maybe not familiar with them as an entire unit, so to speak. So I'm wondering, before we get into each component, could you just give me an overview of what you consider the Safe Fleet training platform to be?
Absolutely. First of all, thanks for having me on. Glad to be part of the podcast. Always enjoy doing these with you. I think we have great rapport and it makes it fun.
Agreed.
The platform that we use. So there was a little shift a few years ago in the way we approach things. And of course, we're in sales. Of course, we want to sell our product. But we really wanted to get out there and try and teach people about everything there is in the fire service. So whether it's how a nozzle should flow, how a pump should operate, your pressure governor, like people relate it right away to, okay, what products do you have? Well, Safe Fleet, we've got Fire Research Corporation, we've got Foam Pro, we've got ROM for our doors and trays, and we've got Elkhart Brass. But it's more than just our platforms. It's about talking to people about how things should work the right way, giving them a general overview, not just of our product, of our competitor's product, of talking about how they may use it on the scene. It's kind of funny because you never want to go into somewhere and tell them, well, this is how you should be doing it. I mean, everyone's different in how they operate. And your fire scene down in Montgomery County is going to be different than my fire scene up here in Schuylkill County, and we're still not that far away. So I'm not here, and our people aren't here to tell you how to do it. We're here to tell you what we see across the country, what options are out there, and get you thinking about, well, maybe I could do it a little different, or maybe I'm doing it just right and I just need to enhance these things. The way we do that is through our pretty large team. We've got about 15 people that are a part of this effort. So we've got several product managers for each product, and they help create things that go out in the field. They go out in the field and do some work as well. We've got 2 specialists on our team. We've got a foam expert on our team whose only job it is to go out there and talk about foam. And we don't sell foam. We sell foam systems, but he's an expert on foam and foam systems. So he'll talk to departments about, how do you size your foam system? How do you keep it in service? How do you keep it from breaking down? We've got a door specialist. All he does is go around the country for fleets and train them on how to service their door, how to keep that truck in service longer. And then we've got our regional team. So our regional team consists of 3 directors and then 6 regionals. Each regional is equipped with a truck. That truck has pretty much any of the products that we carry on it. It even has products that we don't sell on it. For example, when you're going to do a nozzle demo, it's really important these days to talk about hose and nozzle as a package. So if I go out to see a fire company, we're going to talk about how our nozzles flow, and we pull out their hose that's 25 years old, it's probably not going to show the best flow on that nozzle. They're a system. So we will carry some of the different hoses on the market with us so that they can get a good, true evaluation. What I think is cool about it is all about educating, and we'll do a fair comparison. We'll stand up side by side with our competitors. I think probably the thing that would set people back in the business world, and maybe even some of the higher ups at my company would say, what are you doing? Would be if I said that we came out and you had a specific package you were looking for, and our regional looked at it or I looked at it and we said, what you want is very specific, and unfortunately, I don't have something that meets your needs, but I know my competition, I know my friends in the industry, and I know someone that has something that would work for you. We would absolutely do that. We believe that in most cases, what we have is going to solve your problem. But if we find a situation where we can't help you, we want that trust that we're going to push you in the right direction. We're not just going to try and sales pitch you on something.
And that's a really important point there, because I at the end of the day, and I've said this many times, all the manufacturers, the ones in your company, other manufacturers, all of you consider yourselves part. And I mean, obviously you're a firefighter as well, so you are a part of it on that end, but you all consider yourselves part of that life-saving process, that hazard mitigation process. So, and what you're doing is ultimately for the good of the fire service,
Yes.
The good of those firefighters. And so I think that's an important point, that, even you're confident you're gonna have what they're looking for and what they need, but if you don't, you will direct them in the appropriate direction.
Absolutely.
So another part of this education platform is a video series. I think most people are pretty aware of it. It's the Brass Tacks Hard Facts series. Before we go into what I think we talked about with season 4 getting ready to launch, could you just give a background on what Brass Tacks Hard Facts is?
Sure. Brass Tacks Hard Facts started around 2016. It was the brainchild of Chris Martin, who is on our staff still. Chris is now our vice president of marketing. Chris has been through it all. Chris was a salesman on the street selling product. He was a product manager on nozzles at Elkhart Brass. So he's kind of played the different roles. And then Jerry Herbst, who a lot of people know, Jerry was a chief in upstate New York. Jerry's worked for Elkhart Brass for years. He's kind of been the face of Elkhart Brass for a long time. They had this concept right along this educational line of, let's not just tell you why we think our nozzle's better. Let's not just tell you why we think our Ram XD is the best ground monitor in the market. That's sales pitchy. Instead, let's talk about applications. So let's talk about, how is a Ram XD going to flow if you want to pull up to a doorway and put a quick blitz on something, but then maybe break that nozzle off and extend a hose line off of it. Now it becomes a big gate valve. So they show that type of thing. They get into strategy and tactics. How are you going to advance a hose line? How do you do proper water mapping? How do you test? How do you test the flow? Better yet, I think some of the great videos are, how do you truly evaluate a nozzle package? So if you're looking to buy something new, do you just go out in a parking lot and flow it? Do you try and go into a building? Do you look at the flow rates, things like that? That's where Brass Tacks Hard Facts came from. They try to keep them to a relatively short time frame so that you can sit down. If you're in a paid department, you can sit down while you're having dinner, throw one up that night and watch it, and then talk about it and think about some of the things that go into it. There's over 100 episodes out there right now. Season 4 is going to launch in the fourth quarter of this year, and they'll pretty much run one a week. They'll skip the holiday weeks, and there's enough episodes that once it starts, it'll pretty much run right up until FDIC starts. So, we all look at your big event and tie things into that. So it kind of wraps up right around then. There's a big focus on hose loads this season. So the different hose loads that are out there, how to pack them, why would you want one versus the other, those kind of things.
Talk about some of the, you mentioned a couple that sort of started things off, but talk about some of the instructors, some of the other instructors who participate, and maybe who we'll get to see with upcoming season 4.
We've made a lot of friends in the industry over the years. Jerry and Chris have just a tremendous connection with a lot of instructors around the country. We've had top names as part of this. Dave Fornell, who's written books on nozzles and water flow. Brian Brush, considered an expert in the industry. Jerry and Chris are in several of the videos. Kurt Isaacson is a star of several videos. Jerry Knapp, Steve Robertson. These guys, they're people who are hands-on. They were firefighters that most of them are at the chief level now. So not only have they experienced it hands-on, they've experienced it where they're directing someone else to do it hands-on. So they're educators, and they've really learned how to do that. That's what helps make it so much fun, is working with these people and really talking about the different things that we can do. There's videos out there. Like I mentioned, they've done strategy and tactics. They've done how to pack a hose load. They've gotten into hydraulic ventilation and things like that. There's a lot of excellent knowledge that you can get out there.
What's interesting too is, you mentioned the breadth of experience that these instructors have, from the firefighter level on up. Not only have they done the hands-on and they have taught, but they've also been responsible probably somewhere along the line for putting together the proposals for the department, the specification proposals to buy. So they've been in that purchasing process as well and can talk to you about, what you need to be considering when you're putting these packages together.
Absolutely. I think one of the fun things, we had a little discussion the other day on topics, and someone was saying, well, how do you evaluate a nozzle? Do you do it in the parking lot? And someone said, well, if you made that parking lot because you burned a building down years ago, maybe you want to think about what happened at that fire and how to evaluate what you're using.
So with all these videos, 104, I think
Yes.
you said, or over 100, going into a fourth season, how can people find the archives for Brass Tacks Hard Facts?
Pretty much if you use any search engine and search Brass Tacks Hard Facts, you're going to stumble upon them. We do have a website dedicated to it, brasstackshardfacts.com. Everything lives there. The instructors' bios live there. So if you want to look for a specific instructor and then look for the episodes he did because you like him and you don't like hearing my voice and you want to hear someone else's, that's all there for you. Also, we have our Elkhart Brass YouTube channel, and that carries all the videos as well.
Okay. Now that we're talking about websites and archives and things of that nature, another part of this platform, relatively new. I don't think it goes back as far as Brass Tacks Hard Facts, but that is Rig Recon. Before we get into some specifics, could you give just an overview on what people can expect at the Rig Recon website?
Sure. Rig Recon, it has not existed as long as Brass Tacks Hard Facts. And when we first launched Rig Recon, it kind of launched and it didn't take off. And part of it was we just didn't have the focus on it at the time because we probably tried to do too much at once as we were really getting Brass Tacks Hard Facts off the ground. The following for Brass Tacks Hard Facts right now is immense. So Rig Recon is supposed to be the equivalent of Brass Tacks Hard Facts for the apparatus guy. What we really have Rig Recon doing now and what we want to turn it into even more is if you're looking to spec a rig and you're just saying, man, I don't know what's out there today, not from a brand of rig, but from the components that go into it. Or I don't know, do I want electric valves or manual valves? I know the electric costs more, but what do I get for that extra money? What are the benefits? That's the kind of stuff you can find on Rig Recon. We've got, I'm told that you're an old guy if you say white papers. So we don't call them white papers anymore. We call them product guides. Semantics, it's still a white paper. But we've got these product guides where we'll go through what's the difference between an electric valve and a manual valve. Where are the benefits I pick up? What are the possible detractors? Am I worried that electric valve's not going to open at 2 a.m. when I push the button? We're going to address those type of topics. Deck guns, manual versus electric. Again, electric costs more money. It also improves safety. I don't have to put a guy up on top of the rig. So we're not sales pitching you at that point on why should I buy Elkhart versus TFT or Akron. Instead, we're sales pitching you or we're educating you on the subject itself. Then when you start to get into it and you want to get some pros and cons and some comparisons on stuff, that's where we really can be a great asset to you. So traditionally, let's say you're shopping for a deck gun. Let's say you've already done your homework and you've made that decision between manual versus electric. But now you said, well, I want a manual gun and I know I want 1,250 gallons per minute. Who's out there? Okay, the three popular ones on the market are TFT, Elkhart, and Akron Brass. So I got to go to Akron's website and look at what they have. I got to go to TFT's website. TFT has just a wide range of products, several products that do the same job. Then I'm going to go to Elkhart Brass. It's a lot to take in. It's confusing. A lot of times you're going to default to, Well, what did the guy who's selling me the rig, what is he like? What does he think I should put up there? That's really, I'm not saying the guy selling the rig's guiding you the wrong way. You know your response area. You know what's important to you. Is it reach? Is it the weight of the monitor? Like if it's on the tip of an aerial? Is it the flow rate? Is it the pressure that you can put through it? It may be different for your department versus the department next to you. So to cut through all this confusion, we made comparison charts. So you'll go to rigrecon.com, you'll go under the deck gun section, and you'll see a chart. And that chart for 1250 gallon per minute manual monitor is going to show you the Elkhart product, the TFT product, and the Akron product. And in that chart, you're going to see what can they each flow, what kind of pressure can they handle, what's the weight of the monitor, what's their stow height. We're not going to be number one in every category, but we feel overall we may have the best offering, but we're not trying to convince you of that at that point. We're just putting the facts out there for you to compare all these products together and then make the decision yourself.
What about lighting? Lighting seems to be one of the things that I don't want to say that it's misunderstood, but there are a lot of terms that not everybody always understands. Does Rig Recon get into any kind of lighting education at all?
So lighting is one that's near and dear to my heart. It's probably been, I think it was about 2 years ago. It might have been 3 or 4 years ago. I did a lighting podcast through one of your webinar series. I think it was right after COVID, in fact. So it's been quite a few years more than I thought. Lighting is misunderstood. Effective versus raw lumens are something we talk about all the time. There's a paper on there that talks about effective versus raw. There's a webinar that lives on Rig Recon that goes into the science of lighting and goes into what is the difference. I like to put analogies in. I like to relate it to people like a hand line. So most guys know that if I have a 50 PSI nozzle and it's 150 gallons per minute, if I put the pump discharge pressure at 50 PSI, I'm not getting 50 PSI at the end of that line. I'm not getting 150 gallons per minute at that point because I don't have the right pressure out there. Because there's friction loss in my plumbing, there's friction loss in my hose. Most firefighters understand and get that. What they don't get is the same thing applies to lighting. If I give you the raw number and I say, I've got a 20,000 lumen light, what does that mean? Well, that means that if I add up all them individual little LEDs on a board at max power in the perfect condition, they put out 20,000 lumens. What you really care about is what's the effective output. So how much really gets beyond the lens? So that's something we educate you on Rig Recon. With the FRC products, we have about a 90% transmission rate. So about 10% loss. A lot of our competition has about 35% loss. That's a huge difference. Now, numbers, I can bury you in numbers. And people, their heads are going to spin. They're going to go, what's this guy trying to do? He's trying to sales pitch me on science. So what's the better way to evaluate lighting? Well, the best way would be have a demo. Have someone come out with a light, set it on the ground, light it up in your response district, because you're not just worried about the total output. You're worried about the pattern. We talk about symmetrical and asymmetrical. Does the light go out and down? Do I want a light that goes out and up like our high-rise light is? Those things are important. What's difficult at times is to say, okay, I want to go out with the Whelen light and the FRC light and the high-vis light all at one night and look at them against each other. A lot of times it's hard to set that up. So we've kind of done that for you. We went out to a football field in Elkhart, actually in Mishawaka, Indiana, so not far from Elkhart. And what we did was we wanted to be fair and honest about everything. Fair comparisons are critical to us. You don't get ahead in this industry by lying about things. Firefighters will call you out immediately. You know this well. So what we did was we set a tripod up on the field right at the goal line, and we put our light on top, lit it up in the dark, and flew a drone. We did this for every light we have and make. We then got our competitors' lights, put them in the exact same position, the exact same timing, in the same darkness, and did the same thing, flew that drone. We then took those videos and did side-by-side comparisons. So I can see an FRC light and a Whelen light next to each other with the same drone pattern every time and really get a true comparison of What does that light look like? How does it look 20 yards out? How does it look 40 yards out? The way the drone shoots it, you can see the house across the street. That house is a football field and a half away. Is there light striking that house? Are there hot spots on the ground? Are there dark spots on the ground? Are there shadows created by the light? These are all things that are critical when you're evaluating. And with our video series on Rig Recon, you can watch these videos and see the two lights next to each other, and then you make the decision. I don't care what the numbers are. You can see and say, that's the light I want. That's the one that I think works better.
There are a lot of components. We've talked about a number of them that go on to a fire truck, whether they are components specifically as part of the operation of that truck, or whether they are components, and I say components, but nozzles and things of that nature, monitors, deck guns, things like that, that are integral parts, obviously, of the firefight. Now, there are departments that have massive fleet maintenance divisions. There are some where, you're bringing your fire truck to the same place that the DPW takes, their units, it's all one shop. But there's a lot that can take place back at the station, whether it's a volunteer house or whether it's a big fire department with a number of stations. Ricky Riley, I had him on a few weeks ago, and we were talking about designing your rig with maintenance in mind. And one of the things he talked about was empowering the firefighters at, you could call it like the local level, like the company level, to service some things. Like you don't have to take it to the shop or get someone to come out to you for everything. Is there anything on Rig Recon that sort of goes through troubleshooting on some of these components, where maybe on either side, volunteer or career, if you got a handy person, they could go in there and take care of it without having to bother the fleet staff or take the truck out of service or anything like that? Is there troubleshooting information for some of the stuff?
Absolutely. Both troubleshooting and preventative things. What can I do so that I don't have to get to the point where I need someone to come service it? The funny thing is, those things have been out there forever. The process has been out there, but you took delivery of a rig, and when you got that rig, you got a binder that's probably this thick and it's jammed full of manuals. Nobody wants to read these days. Well, that's not true. My wife loves to read, but nobody wants to read a manual. No one wants to sit down and read that manual for that truck anymore. And then where did you file that book? So the rig's 6 years old and you're out in the field and someone says, hey, it's bothering me. The date and time are wrong on the pressure governor. I'd really like to fix that. No one knows where the book is. No one can remember how to do it. We've created a video series for all of those type of things. And we still have probably 50 or 60 videos that we filmed that are in edit right now that are coming out. So we've tried to keep them short form so that if you're specifically looking for, I've got a Pump Boss pressure governor and I want to know how to change the preset. Simple video that shows the device. It shows my fingers pushing the buttons and shows how to set it. We've done short form videos on preventative things, foam systems. Now, what's probably the number one thing? Well, the number one thing that takes a foam system down typically is a bad ground, but that's more in troubleshooting. What's the number one maintenance thing that'll take a foam system down? Every foam system should have a strainer between the tank and where it gets injected. If you don't have a strainer, that's a bigger problem and you need to add one, but it's not hard to do. But if you do have a strainer, you need to pull that strainer now and then and clean it out. That will catch debris. That's what saves your pump from becoming destroyed. Those are the type of short form videos where we just have a short video that says, hey, you want to keep your foam system running longer? Make sure you check your strainer. Make sure you pull it out, clean it out, and put it back in and make sure it's present. 30-second videos that can help extend the life of your rig. We've shot several of those. Then we've shot longer videos that go in depth on setting things up on the rig. Pretty much anything that involves our product. We've got a great series on our ROM door, how to adjust the tension, how to clean the door. Please don't spray a lube in that door because that attracts dirt. soap and water. But there's a video that shows how to clean the track, how to clean the door. And if you are going to put a little lubrication in there, it tells you what lubrication to use and shows you how to apply it. How to troubleshoot a door ajar. We all get tired of the beep, beep, beep because the door ajar switch isn't working right. I know the door is closed, but it says it's opened. There's a video out there on Rig Recon that shows you how to troubleshoot that door ajar. So these are the little things. We're just trying to make it easier for the firefighter so that when they do want to fix something or make their vehicle last longer, they can get access to it quickly and see it the way they like to see it.
With Rig Recon, when you get there, before you can get all of this information, is there any type of registration process that you need to go through or anything like that? Or are there ways for a firefighter who has been there to then get updates on when things are coming out? Is there anything like that at this point?
So the biggest thing I would say is follow us on our socials on Rig Recon. Whenever we put new videos up, we will announce it on our socials. So that way you just get that little blast. Usually we'll put a little clip of it there. And then if you want to see the whole thing, you go to Rig Recon. There's no registration for Rig Recon. When you visit the site, data mining happens out there all over the place now. We're not collecting your name and number and calling you and going, hey, we saw you were on Rig Recon. We want to talk to you. That's not happening. If you need more info, there is a contact us section, of course, that you can fill out. And all of our contact information is listed there if you wanted to reach out. But when you go there, things are topic based. So you want to learn about pressure governors, you want to learn about lighting, you want to learn about deck guns, valves. It's all based on the subject matter instead of calling out like a product name when you want to search through things.
Kind of along those lines, just with more information on things. We talked about the regionals in the beginning of this. How can departments find out more? I guess, like what regional they should contact for any demos, where they are. Like, is that through, can they do that through Rig Recon, or is there somewhere else that they should go for that information?
All of our websites, I don't think Rig Recon has our directory on it, but you bring up a good point and we'll get it added. If you go to elkhartbrass.com, you go to fireresearch.com, foampro.com, or rom.com. On every one of our websites, there's a company directory. That company directory is going to show you the individual regional that covers your region. So it's going to list a regional's name, and it's going to list all the states that he covers. And then there's a button you can click there to email them. And I believe we still have our cell phone numbers up there. There's always been debate anymore. Do you take stuff down because of the things that get found out there? But we want to be accessible. We want to make sure you can find your regional very easy. The other thing that I love about our company and the way it's set up, if you're on the edge of a region and you're looking for a regional, I'll give you a great example. Our Northeast regional covers half of Pennsylvania, and our Mid-Atlantic regional covers the other half of Pennsylvania. So you're in Harrisburg, you're right smack in the middle. The Northeast guy is actually covering you, I believe. But if you're looking for him and he can't help you because he's tied up, he's up in Maine, he's going to reach out to the Mid-Atlantic guy and say, hey, can you go over and cover this? We are flexible with helping get the right people in front of you to help you with things. One of the things that I would say is don't shy away from, we call it a Know Your Flow class. There's so much you can get out of a Know Your Flow class. A lot of people think, well, if I do a Know Your Flow class, it's just them coming in telling me why my nozzles stink and why I should buy new nozzles. Not necessarily. Sure, we're going to show you new nozzles. We're going to show you what technology can do for you. But if you're not ready to invest money in new hose, maybe 50 PSI nozzle isn't right for you. 100 PSI is getting a little outdated now. Maybe 75 is the right fit for you. We're going to set up in a Know Your Flow class, our typical setup, we're going to set up a flow meter. We like to do it on the inlet side because then we don't have to keep moving it from discharge to discharge. So we're going to set it up on the inlet side. We're going to deploy your hose and your nozzle, and we're going to set up and say, well, what do you want Cross-Lay 1 to flow at? If you say it's 160 gallons per minute, we're going to help you identify 160 gallons per minute out of my line with my nozzle requires whatever pump discharge pressure. Let's say it's 120 PSI. And then we'll show you the advantages with maybe new hose and nozzle so you can start budgeting if you want that. But on a good Know Your Flow class, when we're done, we can go through and tell you every discharge and make a chart for you that says these are the pump discharge pressures to get the flows we desire. You used to do that with math. Math is a great starting point. But what you don't capture in math is I can look up the friction loss in the hose. I can look up the operating pressure and flow of the nozzle. Nothing's going to tell me how much pressure I'm losing in the plumbing. The OEM's not required to document that for you. So you need a class like this to truly figure out what you're flowing and make sure you're flowing the right thing. I can't tell you how many times we've done it where you get two guys out in the end of a line and it's 100 PSI automatic fog and they're fighting it and you yell out, what do you think you're flowing? And the guy says, oh, we got to be flowing 150, 160. And we're like, yeah, you're flowing 70 gallons per minute. And they're like, no, that's not possible. All right, let's throw a smoothbore on. Let's pitot it. Let's prove to you that our flow meter's dialed in. We can calibrate it right there. Let's run it again. You're flowing 70 gallons per minute. Now here's a newer product. You're flowing 150 and you're barely even fighting it. It's so much fun. Our guys love doing Know Your Flow classes because opening someone's eyes like that, sure, it could get us a sale in the end, but it's just fun helping educate people and protecting firefighters. We don't want you in a building flowing 70 gallons per minute. That's not going to put the fire out. We want to make sure that you're in there doing the right thing so that you're protecting your own.
One other thing I wanted to mention about the regionals is that you mentioned, if you go to this website, you go to this website, you go to this website. Those regionals, no matter which website you're on, that regional will have the whole breadth of the products, correct? Yes. So if you're going to Foam Pro, you're not only getting the foam region, that regional will have the foam, it'll have the nozzles, it'll have FRC stuff as well, the lighting and things of that nature. Just that's an important one because it's good that you can get to that no matter which site that you're on.
Yeah, every one of our regionals, I think pretty much every one of our regionals has been a firefighter at some point in their career. Some of them professionally, some of them like myself volunteer. If we've got one or two that weren't firefighters at some point, we've put them through firefighting classes. We want them to understand what's going on. Although I don't know that we have anyone on staff right now that wasn't a firefighter at some point. And they're all educated on all of our product. So they truly are a one-stop shop for you. If you had a deep dive on foam, like you're in an industrial area and you're going to be protecting a port or something where foam is really near and dear to you and you're doing a big flow system, then we're probably going to bring our flow specialist in, our foam specialist to help out. If you had a fleet of trucks and you wanted to train your maintenance staff on how to maintain our doors, then we're going to bring our door specialist in. But it would all start with the local regional. He would set all that up for you, and he would have the general education for you.
Okay. Well, Jason, we covered a lot about the education platform, the whole deal. Now, hopefully, everybody understands it's not just one. It's not just individual things here. It's a whole suite of education possibilities that you offer. Do you have any general comments on the platform and anything else about how to get more information?
All the information is available through the web, through our sites. I would encourage you. Follow Rig Recon. We don't post daily. We're not going to blow up your inbox. We're not going to blow up your social feeds, but we do post regularly, and it's always on something pertinent. Don't be afraid to call a guy in to do a demo for you on anything, on lighting, on nozzles, on Know Your Flow. Even if you're not ready to buy this year, if you're budgeting and you're looking to buy in the next 5 years. If you're looking to buy a rig in the next 5 years and you want some opinions on things, our guys are going to give you that general overall knowledge base and help get you into the right stuff. Like I said in the beginning, even if it's not ours, we're going to help get you into what's best for you.
All right, Jason. Well, my thanks to you again for sitting down with me. As always, it's really good having a chance to sit down and speak with you. If you are looking for previous episodes of our podcast, they're all archived at www.fireapparatus.com. podcast. So again, this has been Chris McClune along with Jason Whitmire of Safe Fleet. Have a good one, everyone, and stay safe. Thanks again, Jason.
Thanks, Chris.